Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, the director of Jonny Mozza's Lessons in Confidence, and today I'm very happy to be able to show you some of day one. I've just finished day one of filming last night. We went to the Cross Lances in Hounslow with John Henry Westhead and Oleg, and we had such a great time. I was really nervous at first because this is the first day of filming. This is where if something's going to go wrong, it's going to go wrong with day one. So, and I put quite a lot on my plate for day one. Despite me saying that I didn't want to, do too much on any one day, and I wanted the filming to be a lot more relaxed and less like a professional film set in that sort of way. It did end up becoming quite intensive. I've actually downloaded it because I don't think I've got any Wi-Fi out here. So. Yeah, here we are. So this is a download of the YouTube video that I uploaded. So I edited it very quickly once I got back. Not all in one day, I've done some of it this morning. Let me pause that so I can actually tell you kind of what happened. So I went to John Henry's house at about, I want to say about 5:30. I got there about 5:30. And I was carrying quite a lot. I'm going to cut to the relevant footage of that. So. Yeah, you see that is a lot, right? The backpack and the guitar. Although I will say those two things kind of balanced themselves out. Problem is I was on the bus, right? And I was on the bus all on my own. And I wasn't able to get a seat. So I was kind of leaning against the, the pole where they used to keep newspapers and stuff. So I was kind of leaning against that. So I stuck on my headphones and I listened to all the Paranoid, I think it's the first Black Sabbath album. No, it's not, it's is it the second one? Masters of Reality came after Paranoid, I think. Anyway, I listened to Paranoid and I loved it. Really good album. It's not one that I've actually bothered to listen to all the way through. I just known the songs. And I thought I wasn't going to enjoy Iron Man that much because it's quite overplayed, and it got played in Iron Man 2 because it's Iron Man. I'm surprised they didn't play it in the first Iron Man. I'm surprised they had that restraint. But yeah, really great album. I think my favourite track was Electric Funeral. Either that or, Planet Caravan is a classic of mine. I love Planet Caravan. But at the same time, it's a bit of a diversion. Anyway. Got to John Henry's house and he'd immediately learned all his lines, and I hadn't really. I will admit I hadn't learned my lines in that kind of way. And he was talking about how he needed cues and certain things, and I was like, yeah, you are actually kind of right on that. You do. I need to cue you in on a certain line of dialogue. Like there's a part in the scene where I talk about Ed Sheeran and Katy Perry, and I need to say it's 4 chords because that leads him into what his point is, because he's responding to the 4 chord bit. So conversations were a little bit more artificial, and at first I was kind of worried that the direction of the film was going to become more sterile and the kind of things I didn't want, and the film was going to get away from me. And I was really worrying during the first couple sets of the Cross Lances open mic, and I was really panicking for when I had to go on, because that's when everything begins. That's when Jonny Mozza is born in my head, right? So I went on and I played 2 songs. I've uploaded my practice to YouTube, and the practice was a lot better, I will say. And that's mainly because of the tone. I didn't have the same amp. I really should have bought the amp as well. More crap to carry around, but I really should have bought the amp as well. But I didn't. And I think I suffered as a result because I was using, and it's not that their amp wasn't good, but it wasn't prepared for the overdrive and all that kind of stuff. So I felt like my playing was a little bit limp. I had Oleg on one of these little cameras, right? Filming, that's what all of this sort of stuff is. I don't know if you can see it. Let me turn the brightness up. Oh, there you are. Do you see how it looks kind of like an old live video? It doesn't look like it was filmed in 2024, right? I love this little camera, and every time I talk about this camera, my parents are now like, we got you that camera when you were like 10 years old, and back then you didn't want it. I was like, so where are you now? I'm like, correct. I'm gonna film the. Oh, I haven't got a card. Whatever. Oh well, don't worry about it. I love this thing anyway. It's so good. I can make a whole movie with this, and I might one day because it's so much fun. The best thing is the optical zoom. It's 37 times optical zoom. Don't listen to the 45 times on there. It's got 37 times optical zoom, or apparently a 2,000 times digital zoom, which I don't even know what that would look like. I haven't even tested that yet. I really should, but. Really great camera. I had Oleg filming the performance, and I told him get a lot of close-up stuff. Some of them I have zoomed in as well, so there's a lot of stuff that's really, really grainy. I'm thinking I'm gonna add some VHS sort of effects to it, and I'm gonna really spice up the look of this stuff to make it a bit more extreme and sort of darken the background and make it feel like it's possible that I could be playing with a band if you don't have the context. Because then, it's compression. So this is the opening scene. Maybe we'll have some opening credits, and then it cuts to this, and it's a aspect ratio change, right? Because this is the reality that he's actually playing in. So it's less than what you expect, right? And then cut back to it. This wasn't originally how I was going to do it, but I just think it looks really cool. What we were originally going to do is we were going to have a podcast clip playing, and I had the podcast clip all ready and figured out. My mate Will, his dad has a podcast where he interviews people for like the authors of books, and he interviews them about the book. And check it out. I'll put it in the description if I remember. And he did one with the author of some book about George Harrison. And I just thought that would be so thematic of one, because the guy was talking about how George Harrison was a really good guitar player and he never really got the respect that he deserved and all that kind of stuff. So I thought that's kind of interesting. And then second off, it was a podcast about the Beatles, and it was the sort of thing that Jonny Mozza would listen to. And it kind of felt like it would really work. But unfortunately, it didn't end up happening because the guy that hosts the open mic turned the sound of the backing track down before it could get to that part. And that's my fault, actually, because I put it way too far. I had too big of a gap. I actually had the gap much shorter, and I extended the gap, and I wish I hadn't done that. But what ended up happening instead was John Henry came down, and he used my guitar for his set, because he played afterwards. So I thought it'd be interesting to have that kind of dichotomy. No, not really dichotomy, but that as an awkward thing instead, because you've got the awkward setup and then him kind of rushing off the stage, which then cuts into this. So we cut into this, and I've been trying to, because this whole scene is 7 minutes long, and I've been trying to find the best, most interesting, like 2.5, 3 minutes out of it. I think I found it. So and it all plays out in this wide. This is how I want the film to work. A lot of stuff plays out in the wide, exactly like this, right? Without all the artificial compression. That's not part of the film. So don't worry about that. Yeah, okay, the compression's really... The hell happened there? Anyway, but you see how people walk past and you see how the cars go by? That's all naturalistic stuff. There is one guy apparently, and somewhere in the state, I haven't found him yet, who apparently is a bit of a dickhead, and he was like causing problems. And I was so into the role, I didn't quite notice. John Henry noticed, and Oleg, the guy behind the camera, noticed because he was behind the camera. I didn't notice because I was so encompassed in my role, and I actually thought I did a decent drunk. I haven't had a beer for coming up in 5 months now, but I did drink before then. So I do know what it's like to be drunk, and I kind of relied on that. And drinking non-alcoholic beer, it tastes exactly the same. Don't listen to what people say. It tastes exactly the same as normal beer. Obviously, when you're drinking beer and then you go straight to non-alcoholic beer, it's a bit odd at first. But if you don't drink for like a week and then you have a non-alcoholic beer, it will feel like a beer. So then you've got this sort of stuff, which is, I didn't actually script this. I love the little lights that flash on my headphones. These are my AirPods that I actually properly use for everything. They're brilliant. I really like them. They were like the cheapest, crappiest thing. I think They weren't even mine originally. I can't remember whose they were, but they got them from TK Maxx. I remember them getting them from TK Maxx for like £15, and I remember thinking like, oh god, TK Maxx, £15, they're gonna be crap. But they're not, and I use them when I go to the gym, and I put them on because they're good for the treadmill and stuff like that, because you don't have the cable dangling down. Although I do kind of prefer the cabley headphones because you can plug them into things. You can also, like, you don't have to worry about charging your headphones. I always thought that was a bit weird. I've got to charge my headphones now. And I'm sure they're very easy to lose. I haven't lost them yet, but I feel like they'd be very easy to lose if you're not careful with them. And then we actually started breaking one of my key rules. One of my rules was I wanted everything to be static, and we've already diverted from that, and I think for the better. Well, this wasn't a scene with other people. This was a scene of me on my own, so I think it kind of adds to... Because the whole point of this scene is that Jonny Mozza isn't particularly happy behind the scenes. Like, in the last scene, he's kind of moaning a lot, and John Henry's character, Leo Mickens, says something very important, which is, if you take that attitude, you will never be happy. And that's, I think, the most important line of dialogue in the entire film. If you take that attitude, you will never be happy. And I've made sure that's the first line of dialogue, so I kind of skipped the beginning of the scene, just to jump straight into that, because I think that's the meat and potatoes of that whole scene. Also, it's just such a great scene. That's the other way, Yeah, I know. I love things playing out in the wide. I love the naturalistic dialogue. We feel like we're real friends. I mean, we are real friends, which makes it even better because we do have conversations about music. We don't get this heated about them because we tend to be in agreement about quite a lot. There's a part in this film, in this scene, where he recommends a little dwarf fella to me to listen to. I might cut it out, I might leave it in, depends on what people think. But that is someone that John Henry recommended to me, and I can't remember for the life of me what his name was. He's a little dwarf fella. He plays like a half-size guitar, and he's got these live videos. They're really nice live videos where he'll... they're quite long songs, but as John Henry says, they're melancholic dwarf ballads, which that kind of makes it sound like it's like Lord of the Rings dwarves. It's not. It's more like a Nick Drake or Elliott Smith kind of thing. Is it Elliott Smith? I think it is. Anyway, it's that kind of thing, and I can't remember for the life of me who that guy is. And John doesn't really remember recommending him to me either. I think it might actually be a woman, and maybe it is. I don't know. If you do know who this little dwarf fella is that does the music, it's really nice music. I'd like to hear it again. Try and guess who it is in the comments because I want to know. Yeah, we did this stuff outside the Cross Lancers, and around this time, just before, as I was setting this up and getting the lav mics ready, I was starting to get a real fucking headache. My cheekbones were really hurting, and my head was starting to pulsate, and I wasn't really sure why that was happening. I'm looking back and I'm thinking maybe it's I didn't eat enough. All I had was 2 slices of toast with salmon, some yogurt, and I think I had some cereal for breakfast. And that's considering I went to the gym and I did 20 minutes on the treadmill, and I did like a load of what's that machine? I don't know what that machine's called. And then I did dumbbells, and then I did that machine as well. What I do when I go to the gym, I find albums and I listen to an album, and I work out for the length of the album, and then the album finishes and I go back to the changing room. I don't know anything about what these machines are called. I'm not like a gym guy. I don't actually care about you got your leg day and your quad day and all that. I'd rather just go and enjoy lifting some stuff, enjoy having a bit of a run, maybe have a bit of a swim, go in the sauna. I like going in the sauna because sometimes there'll be people in there having a conversation. You can sort of join in the conversation. It's kind of a communal area. And that, if you watch my video about London having community, that's another place where you can find community, is in your gym. Not necessarily on the gym floor where a lot of people want to just have their headphones in. I just want to have my headphones in. I want to just get on with my workout. But in the sauna, in the steam room, in the spa, try and find a gym that has those things available, because it will really improve. That's the bit I look forward to at the gym, is the bit where I get to go to the sauna or the steam room. I like to go to the steam room first and then go for a swim and then come out and go into the sauna afterwards. That's so good because I don't know, the steam room kind of opens up your pores or something like that, and then you get in the swimming pool and it feels brilliant. But anyway, with regards to the filming, I think everything went so perfectly that I cannot believe it's exactly my vision. And I know it doesn't look like, I'm not trying to make the greatest movie ever. I'm not trying to create, the next Kubrick or Hitchcock bloody masterpiece. I'm not trying to, take from particular directors or turn my idea, my vision into something else. I'm simply going with the flow and developing the film as it kind of goes along, rather than planning everything out in advance and then having to work around things. Because I said it to John and Oleg yesterday. I said, this film is about bringing the fun back into filmmaking, because I've made a few films, and as they started to get bigger and bigger, and I started to have larger crews and larger sets and more professional everything, the fun started to get stripped out of it, It really did. And I started to wonder, why am I even doing this? And I didn't make a film for about 2 years, and I completely shifted gears to music, and I made about 10, 15, 20 albums, something like that. Not that that's 20 albums of great material, but I just made albums just to make them, like, as a way of learning music. Like, the first sort of 10 albums are literally my own music school. And then this film is also related to music, and it's about my relationship with music in a way. And it's also a chance to combine my music career with my film career. And I really wanted to combine those two things. And I am using my real music. This is like the songs that he's playing here. Let me go back. Hang on, I can do it. Wait, I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. Okay, hang on. These aren't my real songs. It's somebody who really loves him, I say, am I say. Yeah, I've actually edited it there so that it's meant to go into another verse and then a chorus and then a breakdown and then the solo, but I've just had to go straight into the solo. Because you're not there to listen to the entire song. It's like a 6-minute song. It's actually a 10-minute song. I cut out the second part. I like my prog rock kind of stuff. I like that kind of thing where there's multiple parts. If you've seen some of my music videos that are on this Jonny Mozza channel, you see that I like my long stuff. And a lot of my inspirations are like Camel is one of my biggest inspirations. Pink Floyd, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, Neu, early Kraftwerk. I do like later Kraftwerk as well, but I'm not really in love with it the same way. But like when they got really into their synthesizers and stuff, it's personally not for me. I prefer the earlier stuff that they've completely disowned, and I wish they wouldn't disown it. It's good stuff. It's really good stuff. Rook, I don't know how you pronounce it, but Rook Zuck, that's a great one. I fully recommend it. There's one that's like a doom metal-y one, or like something like that. It's like 1969. It was one of the first metals, like around the time Black Sabbath was beginning. It's along the same vein as that, which you wouldn't expect Kraftwerk to do. Yeah, this whole film is about my relationship with music and about understanding my own worldview better. That's kind of why I do these videos as well. It's so that I can explain my thought process, and in doing so, I understand what my thought process is. And it makes things so much more interesting, personally. I really enjoy doing things that way. Because I used to sterilize things so much and think that everything had to be absolutely perfect. But I'm not like the most talented guy around. I can't make something that's perfect. So why not embrace the flaws? Why not embrace the kind of amateur qualities of things and make something that's got a personality to it? Like at the very least, I would rather make a unique film than a good film that hasn't got personality. I'd rather make The Room than make When Harry Met Sally, is basically what I'm trying to say. I've not seen When Harry Met Sally, so sorry if I've slagged it off and you really like it. I don't know if it's actually a really good film. It's just a film I picked. Yeah, that's kind of my approach to things. And going forwards with the next day of filming, it's probably going to be the Darren stuff next, which is directly continuing on from what's happened here. This would be the very next scene. So there's a bit on the bus, which is going to be very easy. That's just going to be me and one other person who sits. It'd be quite late at night, so we'll sit a couple seats in front of me and just film me. And then I get off the bus. I meet Darren, and Darren's like a guy who's he's got a job. He's getting a promotion. He's getting married next year, and he's moving away so that he can get a bigger house in a nicer area to raise his children. That kind of thing. And it's a way of showing that what Jonny Mozza could have done if he hadn't been so caught up in himself and his his music and his art over his sustainability. Which I was just talking to a guy called Demetrios, who's going to play one of the Universal Credit agents, and he was saying very much the same sort of thing. Like, there's a lot of people out there that really relate to that kind of thing, that are on Universal Credit, but they're struggling artists, and they're kind of a bit hopeless and sort of going through life in this sort of way, waiting for something to happen. And that's kind of what Jonny Mozza is. He's someone that's like going through life the wrong sort of way, and when he gets reminded of how he could have done it, that's a reminder that he's not a like a quote real person compared to, say, Darren, who is a quote real person. And I like to show that kind of person, that character, because it's something that I've seen discussed a bit, but it's also something that is a real not necessarily problem, but issue that's worth discussing on a film. So it's a theme that it surrounds the film in a very nice way. And it's also a theme that's quite easily accessible, and it's also that this is a story that I can kind of take in different directions as the film goes, because I now know the film better, having done this, than I did the day before yesterday when I hadn't filmed any of this. This film has really begun now. It's about 5 minutes long at the moment, but each day I film, it's going to get longer and longer and longer, and eventually it'll get to 90 minutes, and then all I need to do then is just edit it together, and that should be it done. And I'm really, really excited to show it to you in its final form. It's going to be good. I'm going to go for now, and thank you so much for watching this. Jonny Mozza's Lessons in Confidence should be coming out some point soonish. When I've finished filming it. I'm going to keep you up to date with everything that's going on this channel, and you can also, listen to some of the music that I put out, and you can just. This is just a channel for whatever, really. It's a and it's building a community as well. I'd like to see your films and your projects and those kind of things. I'd like this to be. While this channel is so small, it doesn't need to be a parasocial relationship. It can be a real relationship between the creator and the audience. It's when you start to get thousands and thousands of subscribers and thousands of comments on your videos, you can't make that commitment. And I do try to respond to a lot of people, as many people as I can, and I'm going to keep trying to do that. And eventually it's going to run away from me, and it will end up taking up too much time to actually respond to everyone. And when that happens, I'll just respond to bits here and there. I'll always stay active. I always read the comments, and I always wonder why bigger channels don't, respond to as many comments. They'll always like heart react that one that their friend does, or the person that's in the video, and it just feels so corporate. When the whole point of YouTube is to broadcast yourself, and that's what I'm trying to do. Thank you very much for watching, and take care. Bye-bye. Bye.